shall we? All right, okay. I'm just very excited. I'm very excited. Can we start now? No, people are walking in. It's fine. Okay. We're on page 12 in our prayer books.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom, Cantor. Hi, everyone. Rabbi Adina Blum, joined not only by Cantor Jordan Goldstein and Rabbi Rebecca Kaufman and Director of Lifelong Education Ann Berman Waldorf, but also our confirmation class of 5784. These are, okay, yeah. So here, these are our 10th graders who have stayed committed to their Jewish education since their COVID B mitzvah. Not a single one of them led our congregation in worship from the bima. One did it through Zoom and offsite, and the others did it down below in a plexiglass box. But this is their first time, even though they've been Jewish adults for several years now, that they have the opportunity to lead their sacred community in prayer, and we're so incredibly proud of them. Confirmation is a reform ritual, a reform Jewish ritual borrowed by our neighbors, because 16 is a lot more mature than 13, believe it or not. And 13's great and all, and you can be part of the community in a new way, and you're able to learn. But at 16, you're able to dig so much deeper. And so throughout our service tonight, you will hear from each confirmand their teaching of one of the 10 commandments, as the festival or the ritual of confirmation was often timed to the festival of Shavuot. Our confirmands chose to celebrate their milestone moment on this Shabbat before Shavuot, which will come up this Tuesday night, because this is how our community usually comes together. Shabbats, every single week. And so we will get to the traditional text tied to the festival of Shavuot. You'll hear more about that later. You'll hear each confirmand's teaching on one of the 10 commandments that spoke to them. We're all wearing white up here, as that is a color of the Jewish festivals, not only the High Holy Days, but also those 3 pilgrimage festivals of Sukkot, Passover, and Shavuot. And Shavuot was the festival of first fruits. that the entire Jewish people was supposed to go to the temple in Jerusalem and offer that which they had labored to create. And those very first fruits of their labor they would offer up to God. And so tonight, we're so excited to partake in the fruits that you are offering your community. We're going to continue with the candle lighting, so I'll invite our confirmands up. As we continue in our prayer books, pages 2 and 3, throughout our service, we will refer you to the handout. If you weren't able to grab one, they're on music stands by the entrance, but you'll need this for a few pieces. So if you, those who are leading, if you'll get your binder and come on over to the candles. And if you are curious about our security resources or our accessibility resources, those are on cards sprinkled throughout the sanctuary. And we do ask that folks keep their phones and cameras tucked away, as there will be a recording available after the service. So come on over when you're ready.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thank you very much. We're going to turn to Kabbalat Shabbat, our songs of welcome for this day of rest. Page 17 at the bottom.
Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu lehar kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu lehar kosho. Oh, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu lehar kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu lehar kosho. Oh, ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu lehar kosho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishachavu lehar kosho.
Page 20, we'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we reach that 9th verse, I'll invite all who are able to please rise as we face the entrance and welcome in the Sabbath bride.
Not yet.
So sorry, not yet. I promise. You just follow my lead.
Yalla la 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 lecha dodi. Yalla la 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 lecha kala. Yalla la 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 pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat nikamla. Yalla la 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 lecha dodi. Yalla la 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 lecha kala. Yalla la 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 ishmianu el hamuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litilah yadai yalalalai lechadodi yadai yalalalai likrakala yalalalai p'nei Shabbat p'nei Shabbat ekamelah likrat Shabbat lechul v'nelcha ki hi mekor haberacha mirosh mikedem nesucha סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה יאי יאללה לך דודי יאללה לקראת קלה יאללה פני שבת נקמלה
Verse 5.
התעוררי כי באורי מאורי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך ניתן יאללה לך דודי יאללה לקרקלה יאללה פני שבת נקמלה
Verse 9.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובסוף עולם תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה יאללה לך דודי יאללה לקראת קלה יאללה פני שבת נקמלה
I invite you to turn to your neighbors, greet one another, Shabbat Shalom, introduce yourself to someone new. What's good?
Shabbat Shalom.
I was gonna practice my Torah.
Should I go to the center or? Shabbat Shalom. One of the 10 Commandments caught my interest, and that is commandment number 5. Honor your mother and father. This commandment has a variety of interpretations. However, I thought this commandment leaned toward being grateful and honoring not just your parents, but also accepting your existence given by God, or for some people, provided by your parents. In Torah times, this commandment originally meant that you would live longer if you honored your mother and father. It could also be a sense of obedience to authority and the beginning of self-discipline following the first commandment. As a person halfway through the teenager process, I took note that we often don't think of honoring our parents because we don't prioritize it. The muscle of gratitude is either present by default in the mind already, or can be gained with enough time and exercise for patience. It all comes with what you encounter every day, which of course would change your initial thought. As a Jewish teenager, The acknowledgement of the fifth commandment paying rent inside my mind when I think of gratitude causes me to feel rushed, where I suddenly worry that something bad will happen if I'm not following a commandment. But to follow this commandment is to not exactly follow it, but to assess yourself. Ask, is my focus on both parents or just one? Should I honor just one parent so it feels like I'm honoring both of them? And this is why the Torah encourages children to ask questions. Most parents might set up a reward system for their kids. Study hard, get good grades, you get a reward. This becomes an advantage for your parents to get you to do something for them so that you'll be rewarded, and that way both parties are satisfied. I'm speaking from experience. I must say, this reward system is very productive. However, this system became the best option for me to get my stuff done, and to only get it done with little effort. One night, I sit at my desk thinking, if I finish this assignment, I can go to sleep. Then I can only think about the reward, which is going to sleep once I'm finished. My inner monologue would say, I'm doing this because I have to, but this is not how I wanted to honor my parents. I will now honor them because I have to. It should be the bare minimum. No, it should be learned by default. In a book Rabbi Blum granted me, Rabbi Laura Geller states that the Torah does not specify how difficult a task will be or if an accurate solution will be provided. However, there is a reward that will give you a better heart and empathy. Even if they may disagree with me on lots of things, I shall honor my mother not because I love them. I shall honor my mother not because mother and father, not because I love them, but because I am grateful for their efforts and I respect them with deference. There are many exciting parts a person can remember from their early childhood. Somehow, I have so many unbelievable memories of crying at home, in school, in the grocery store, or in front of an escalator at the mall. But this was just the side effects. And now I will talk about my Jewish experience at Congregation Beth Chaim. In 4th grade, I finally escaped autopilot mode, and suddenly I'm aware that I can memorize the Aleph Bet and write all of the letters. When a teacher who I remember as Mora Ilana sat me up at the front of the class, she gave me the motivation to learn how to read in Hebrew, and not just read the transliterations of my favorite prayer tunes, acting like I knew it so well. I did know them so well, though. I listened and sang along to my older sister's Bar Mitzvah CDs, sung and recorded by Cantor Binder during every car ride. I memorized all of them. Nothing super important happened in 5th grade, but I was there for sure. I also didn't stop crying everywhere and over everything, and I never let that go until after COVID-19 happened. Changed everything. Moving on to 6th grade, the Sunday school graduation age, except it isn't graduation because now you have to deal with Wednesday classes alone, and now everything you say is taken more seriously, especially to the adults. Mazel tov on the upgrade. When I started Wednesday classes, for the first 3 years or so, I had a friend who was always by my side. Basically, ever since 3rd grade during Sunday school. I only talked to and hung out with her and did all of my Hebrew school projects with her. The more she got involved with other extracurriculars, the more I realized I had to be comfortable doing things on my own. There are many times when I have found myself relying on those around me in order to finish things quickly and correctly, when all I had to do was try my best because I'm on my own. Years later, I found out I prefer working alone rather than working with groups of people. Life lesson, the more you grow up, the more change you'll see everywhere, especially in the people around you and in you. The friends come and go motive completely threw me off upon hearing it for the first time. But it is something you just have no control over, and you must accept it. It's mandatory. The second shout out goes to the nearly 5th confirmand of this year. On late notice, I was devastated she could not make it. She ain't dead, though. I said this before in the beginning of 10th grade, that I hope for the best, and this also applies to post-confirmation. I'm either hoping for the most catastrophic, devastating, disastrous, and destructive worst, or something fair and good if possible. Thank you for your time, specific anxiety disorder. Unfortunately, my Bar Mitzvah project still has not happened yet, but I hope to eventually make more art in the future and share it with my friends and family, like actually, for real. Overall, I don't think anyone after confirmation knows what they'll be doing as more mature adults, rather than accept more and more responsibilities, like their major side quests that contribute to who you are today and in the future. As an improving Jewish adult and a better person than I was 3 years ago, I hope to keep my values while redefining them so that I can improve myself in general. I also hope to not forget any of the memories I shared here at Congregation Beth Chaim, positive or negative. It's weird to think that I used to be afraid of talking to any of the clergy while I was in Sunday school, and now I can talk to them like I've known them forever because I technically have. Everything within my everyday experiences is taking me another step closer to understanding who I am. Maybe one day I won't have to pause or stutter when someone asks me to tell them about myself. I think that would be wonderful because I finally know who I am. My final thanks to all the clergy and teachers who have supported me throughout my Jewish journey. You all have taught me so much of what it means to be Jewish and how I can apply my Jewish values to my everyday life and how everything is connected. I'm extremely grateful that my dad made me get up every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. for Sunday school, despite the fact that I disliked going for way too long. So now I take every opportunity to come back to Congregation Beth Chaim, such as volunteering on Sundays, because when I attended Sunday and Wednesday classes before 9th grade happened, I would leave earlier because I just didn't want to be there. I regret that I cared more about if my friends were present or that I looked weird or something, rather than what we were discussing that time. I don't know why I was so self-conscious about being alone. This was before I recognized my independence, by the way. After confirmation, I want to try attending all of the Shabbat services on Friday nights, especially the monthly Rock Shabbats. Until I decide where I will be going later on in my life, I want to try and stay as connected as possible to the temple I basically grew up in, because I feel like I've only started trying too late. From the book Letters to My Palestinian Neighbor by Yossi Klein Halevi, the Jewish collective functions on two levels, as family and as faith. My final shout out goes to anyone who looks forward to continuing Hebrew school or to continue their life who also feels left out of their community. Trust me, try not to think about how others perceive you. It'll ruin your confidence and stop you from reaching your full potential. Thank you, and our service continues in the prayer book on page 26. Please rise in body or spirit. I made them laugh.
Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah Ve'alma divrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh V'chayechonu v'yomechon Uv'chayet echol beit Yisrael Bagala, bagala Uv'izman kariv V'yimeru Amen Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach Le'olam u'me'almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach v'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei dekudesha brichu Le'ila min chol birchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma V'imru Amen.
be seated and we continue on the handout. What makes a fire burn is space between the logs, a breathing space. Too much of a good thing, too many logs packed in too tight can douse the flames almost as surely as a pail of water would.
So building fires requires attention to the spaces in between as much as to the wood.
When we are able to build open spaces in the same way we have learned to pile on the logs, then we can come to see how it is fuel and the absence of fuel together that make the fire possible.
We only need to lay a log lightly from time to time. A fire grows simply because the space is there, with openings in which the flame that knows just how it wants to burn can find its way.
Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadeta, Otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbeinu, U'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, U'b'mitzvotecha le'olam ba'ed. Ki hem chayeinu, ve'orech yameinu, Uvahem negei olam v'layla, negei olam v'layla, ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimenu le'olamim. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael, ohev amo Yisrael.
Please rise if you're able.
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem, Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
Ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibartam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'shochtecha u'v'kumecha u'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We are Jews because the faith of Israel engages our minds.
We are Jews because the faith of Israel expects our dedication.
We are Jews because in every place where suffering weeps, we too weep.
We are Jews because when there is anguish, we respond with hope.
We are Jews because it is our job to make the world a better place.
We are Jews because Israel values all people, no matter their background.
We are Jews because we are able to continue questioning and learning throughout our lives.
We are Jews because our ancestors fought for us to be.
Continue on page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilo, osei felet, osei felet. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, don't take me soon, 'cause I am here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for the people to say that we don't want to fight no more. There'll be no more war, and our children will play one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש,
The commandment I chose was the 9th one, which reads, "Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor." The main assumption we make about the purpose of this phrase is that someone would falsely accuse another to benefit themselves. But why would they choose this language over the more general statement condemning lying overall? Maybe this was a common thing in the day, that trials were primarily based on word of mouth or character witnesses. Those who would lie in this context would perhaps lie in other contexts as well. Thus, condemning this one type of action is actually representative of a whole type of person. Or maybe it was crafted specifically to allow for lying in other contexts. It allows for the choice to lie to protect someone's feelings, for example. What about invoking the right to not answer the question at all? Is abstaining from telling the truth the same as lying? Or what about bearing false witness if it actually protects your neighbor instead? Is the important word in this phrase the word false or the word against? Even the word neighbor is open to interpretation. This could mean anything from the most literal interpretation of someone who lives nearby to any community member to any other living person at all. It's interesting that the phrase talks about neighbors but not family members. Is bearing false witness against a family member more permissible, or is it so egregious that it doesn't even need a commandment to prohibit it? Besides bearing false witness against a family member, what about testifying against yourself? Does this commandment include something similar to America's Fifth Amendment, or are you forced to tell the truth in Jewish tradition, even if it's self-incriminating? One more protection in America is attorney-client privilege. What if an attorney's client is their neighbor? Would they be required to testify against their own client? Probably not, but this commandment leaves all of this up to interpretation. It is ironic that this language is so imprecise, considering that this is the only commandment relating to a court trial. These thoughts demonstrate the ambiguity embedded in the Ten Commandments, which are some of Judaism's core teachings. This is very unique as law goes. This suggests that it is more important to debate and discuss than blindly accept the actual final outcome. Personally, this is one of the things I like most about my Judaism and Jewish identity thus far. While in academic school, I am often focused on reaching the right answer and pleasing the teacher, religious school has provided a place where I could freely debate and reach my own conclusions. Some of my favorite memories here at Beth Chaim were times when the other students and I were able to read a text and form our own thoughts, both about what it meant then and how the text applies to our lives today. I hope that going forward, beyond the scope of religious school, I will be able to take these analytical skills and questioning instincts into the rest of my life. This education, like any other, could not have been completed without countless mentors who helped me along the way. I would like to thank Rabbi Blum, Cantor Binder, Cantor Goldstein, Ann Berman Waldorf, and all of my religious school teachers for encouraging me to think for myself throughout my religious school experience and in preparation for this day. Ultimately, with the words of these mentors embedded in my mind, I hope to move forward in life with the skills I learned supporting me. We return to the prayer book on page 46. Please rise as you are able for the Amidah, which will continue on the even pages.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot B'imahot, U'megi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mori Hatal.
Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Bechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Baal Geburot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'eman Ata Le'achayot HaKol, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mechaye HaKol. Ata Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim B'chol Yom Yahallelu Chesela. Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated.
Shabbat Shalom. Without my parents, obviously, I wouldn't be here, standing in front of all of you tonight. For my commandment, I chose number 5, honor your father and mother, so that your days may be long upon the land the eternal God your gives you. I chose this commandment because I love my father and mother and appreciate their acts to raise and support me. Their unconditional love and support have made me who I am today. Their teachings have allowed me to live my life to the fullest with the good head on my shoulders. I also chose this commandment because I feel that this mitzvah is one of the most important aspects to living an honest life. In the commandment, it states to honor, not to love, not to like. This point is crucial because I believe anyone's choice to love your parents is optional. No one can command you to love someone. However, what's important is that we honor them by showing respect. The Torah is meant to be challenged in its interpretations. The Torah was written thousands of years ago, so any topic could have completely different meaning today. For me, the main idea of this commandment is that we should treat our parents as we would treat God. There are many instances in the Torah where if you do not honor your parents, punishment will ensue. This commandment impacts my life, and I picked it because it was the one that I resonated the most with, because I value my parents in every way that I can. Growing up Jewish, celebrating Shabbat, and attending High Holy Day services were of utmost importance to me. It was really all I've known at that young of age. However, as I got older, I started to flesh out the true values of Judaism in my life and how I thoroughly approached them. My Jewish journey began when my parents enrolled me in Bethel's preschool. My education here at Beth Chaim started when I was 4 in Bagels and Blocks in Miss Robbins' class. I believe that this foundation of learning is essential for having a good source to fall back on. Looking back at that young age, my values have matured through the initial parenting and the education I have received and have been reinforced over the years through my Jewish education. I'm sure we've all heard that the golden rule is to treat others as one would like to be treated. My parents instilled this rule in my mind from a young age, and it has been one of the most important teachings to follow. Sharing, caring, kindness, and acceptance. These values are some of the most important words to follow, and I try to embody them all throughout my life. It makes me who I am. Although first taught by my parents, it is reinforced here in Beth Chaim's classrooms. My parents planned for me to have a mitzvah and experience that first level understanding of Judaism came first. Then, eventually came the decision of whether to pursue confirmation. I wasn't sure if confirmation was for me. It took some time to decide if I wanted to further educate myself on the meaning of being a Jewish adult. As I stand here tonight, I can confidently say that I'm glad I did. We come to find humor, one of the most important aspects of my life. Hearing jokes from my dad and Grandpa Herbie are memories I won't ever forget. I shared times at any sports events with my Grandma Lane, not caring how well I played, just that I played. Sharing values and moments of wisdom with my Grandpa Hank, having long conversations about the Giants and the Eagles and the next game's outcome. Having regular discussions with my Grandma Jan about genuine topics. Those discussions, including school or life teachings, will always stick with me. Although we are many states away, Grandpa Jim and Grandma Meg, I will always cherish my time with you and savor every memory. My Aunt Marcy, if there's one aspect I can count on you for, it's helping with the cooking and everything in the kitchen. With your unconditional love and long conversations, I know I can count on you for anything. My Aunt Amy and Cousin Avi, I know I can count on you two for anything, and I can't wait to see you guys again. my brother Alec. The 5-year age gap between us feels vastly longer than it seems, but you truly don't know how much I appreciate you for understanding the situations I go through in this day and age and offering advice. So why am I mentioning all my family members who instilled many positive values in me? I wholeheartedly believe that although the commandment states, honor thy father and mother, showing gratitude to everyone who has impacted your life is also necessary. Even as my future is unfolding, I know that as I head into university and make the important decision to have children many moons from now, as my mom likes to say, I can assure myself that I will teach them all the values that I was taught. Finally, I can't forget to thank my teachers and friends standing on this bema this evening, spending countless Sundays and Wednesdays with them, making limitless memories. I will forever cherish and remember these moments as I head into the next chapter of my Jewish life. So when you ask me what's the most important aspects of my Jewish journey, my answer would be the people who have influenced me the most. Thank you. We continue on page 60 with Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael, b'chol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, HaYisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
We take a few moments to pray silently.
We have been doing for the past many weeks since the end of Passover. We now turn to the counting of the Omer. This is the last Shabbat that we will count the Omer because we count the Omer between Passover and Shavuot. Shavuot begins this Tuesday evening. So for our final counting of the season, I invite you to turn to our handout, our daf on the first page there, the counting of the Omer. We'll offer this song. We encourage you to join in and the blessing for the counting of these days.
We have a refrain that we will return to multiple times throughout this blessing. Sounds a little like this. הבריחו ושכלתי, הנני מוכן ומזומן, לקיים מצוות עשה, של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר, שבע שבתות תמימות תהיינה, שבע שבתות תמימות תהיינה, של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר, של ספירת העומר. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו. על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר. היום 46 יום, שהם 6 שבועות ו4 ימים לעומר.
Please join me in the English on the bottom of that page. Today is 46 days, making 6 weeks and 4 days of the Omer.
Hi. My commandment is thou shalt not murder. I picked this commandment for 2 related reasons. The first is that I go to a Catholic school, so I know that in Catholicism, this commandment is translated as thou shalt not kill. The second is that I like to argue, especially with my theology teachers, so I thought it would be interesting to think about why Judaism has always understood this commandment to be about murder, while Christianity, specifically Catholicism, translates this verb as kill. To me, saying murder and not kill means there are some situations in which killing does not violate the commandment. The first one I thought of is self-defense. I am a black belt in Taekwondo, and in martial arts generally, the idea is to be able to defend yourself without causing unnecessary harm to the person attacking you. We want to disarm them, not kill them. That said, if it's my life or yours, I think killing can be understood here. It's not ideal, but if you take thou shalt not kill literally, that means I can't kill you if you are trying to kill me. I'm not saying my life is more valuable than yours or anyone else's, but I'm not dying if I can help it. Self-defense isn't murder, not legally and not philosophically, so I don't see it as a violation of this commandment, and neither does Jewish tradition. Another area I thought of where there might be a difference between killing or murdering is assisted suicide. It is my understanding that Judaism doesn't yet have an updated stance on assisted suicide other than acknowledging that living with suffering is terrible. But here's mine. I agree that suffering is terrible and also know that sometimes it is necessary. Having surgery, being sick, and getting in an accident are all things that can cause suffering and a lot of pain. But there is, hopefully, an end to the suffering because you will eventually heal. But what if you won't? What if you are so sick and you have suffered so much and tried every treatment there is, and all the doctors are telling you that you will die and every moment between now and then will be filled with suffering? If you were a dog, the answer would be easy. We would, as they say, put you down. We're told for animals this is merciful. Are our animals more worthy of our mercy than we humans are? I'm maybe not the right person to answer that. I like my dog more than I like most people. But it does seem that if you've tried everything and the doctors are telling you, this is it, you're nearing the end of your life and what's left will be filled with suffering, you should be able to make the informed decision to put yourself down with help from your doctors. I don't mean to say this is clear-cut. I recently read an article and watched a video about a 28-year-old woman who lives in the Netherlands who is scheduled for an assisted suicide. She has depression and she is definitely suffering. Her doctors have told her she has tried all the treatments, they can't help her, and she will always feel this way. I think her doctors are awful and wrong. There are new treatments all the time, and she is young, and while she seems to be out of hope, I have hope for her. I don't think this is a good example of when assisted suicide is justified. Is it murder, though? I don't think so. Still, I hope she changes her mind. Something else happened recently that made me think about this commandment and what it means. My school is tiny. There are only just over 100 of us in the 4 grades of the upper school, so we all know each other. During spring break, one of the seniors in my school died by suicide. Since she died, I have seen how her friends, family, and teachers have grieved her death. I have heard all the genuinely kind and loving things they have said about her. I think that, like this woman in the Netherlands, she didn't know how much her life meant to others and how much it could mean to her one day. I wish she had, and I wonder if this knowledge would have reduced her suffering. These 2 people, one who I knew and one who I don't, have made me think that what this commandment is actually telling us is not thou shalt not murder, but thou shalt value life. This commandment could also include treating your heart and mind with care. So, what am I supposed to do with this commandment, and how am I supposed to value my life moving forward as a Jewish adult? I think the answer is that I have a lot of thinking to do. I have to figure out what valuing life, especially my life, means. I have to figure out what is important and meaningful to me. Which parts of Jewish practice enrich my life? Celebrating holidays with friends and family does. Eating kugel definitely does. Being raised in a religion that welcomes and encourages questioning does. And as anyone who knows me can tell you, I have always been a fan of questioning everything. My Jewish journey began in preschool, learning all types of songs and Jewish holidays and being surrounded by people who share my faith. I continued my religious education here at Beth Hayim, starting in kindergarten. Here I met so many more people, including the ones I stand with on this bima today. I learned many, many more prayers. I learned about the life lessons woven through all Judaism's teachings, and then a few years ago, I began to prepare for my bat mitzvah. I was all set, knew every prayer and every verse, and had a dress I loved. And then everything stopped. I'm sure I don't have to tell you all why, but I was stuck. Physically, because I was literally not allowed to leave my house, and because everyone was unsure how to continue on to my bat mitzvah. Eventually, I had the first virtual bat mitzvah that this temple held. Around 4 years ago, I stood in my house, being watched by my friends and family on a screen. Here's the thing, though. I'm a very stubborn individual. I count this trait as both a strength and something that occasionally causes me trouble. But in this case, it helped me have a second in-person bat mitzvah in August of 2021. And now, here I am. I attend a Catholic school, the fact of which confuses many, but I also spend a lot of time here. Well, I suppose it will be less now because I'm currently getting confirmed, if you haven't noticed. This is a full circle moment for me, and a decision I made entirely on my own. I cannot exactly explain to anyone why I decided to be confirmed, but I know, at least partially, it is because I was not ready to be done. I will never be done learning, and I will continue to come and help at religious school on Sundays, but I will no longer be a religious school student at Beth Hayim. Post-confirmation, so I guess starting tomorrow, I will have to decide where I want my journey to go. Right now, I know I will continue arguing with my theology teachers at school, and that I will happily continue my own personal Jewish traditions. I will carry on the things everyone here has taught me and use all of my knowledge to aid in making future decisions. I am proud to be standing before all of you today, and I'm grateful for the effort that has been made into teaching me. Thank you.
In just a moment, we are beginning our Torah service. We don't always have a Torah service on Friday night, but in honor of confirmation, as our confirmands will read from the Torah, we will have a Torah service and a reading from the Haftorah from our book of writings. This evening, our confirmands chose to read from the Torah some of the 10 Commandments, the sections of which they've all spoken about this evening, and for the Haftorah, a selection from the book of Ruth. These are the traditional readings for the holiday of Shavuot. And while it is not today, Shavuot, as Rabbi Blum mentioned, the confirmation ritual typically occurs around Shavuot, like our confirmation tonight. So you will be hearing the 10 Commandment reading from the Torah and later reading from the Haftorah. There is a tradition when we hear the 10 Commandments read in the Torah that we stand for that reading. However, that might mean you are standing for a while. So in a moment, I will invite you to rise in body or spirit, and you are welcome to stay standing through as the Torah is carried around the room, brought back up to the bima, the blessings are read, and the Torah reading is chanted. But please, if at any moment you would like to take a seat, you are also welcome to do that at your own discretion and decision, and it is still bringing deep honor to our Torah reading. So we will now turn to the words of Ein Kamocha. We are on page 244. I invite you to rise.
אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עמים, וממשלתך מכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו לשלום. Av harachamim eitiva vertzonecha et Zion tivnei chomot Yerushalayim tivnei chomot Yerushalayim ki becha levad batachnu melech aram v'nisa adon olamim. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udevar Adonai Yerushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato.
In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Shema
Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadlul Adonai Iti, Uneromem Shemo Yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula v'hagevura v'hatiferet v'hanetzach v'hahod ki cho b'shamayim uva'aretz ki cho b'shamayim uva'aretz lecha Adonai hamamlacha v'mitnaseh lechol rosh. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kohen Shema, Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kohen Shema, Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Kohen Shema, Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kohen Shema,
You can follow along with the blessings on page 250.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vaydaber Elohim et kol hadivarim ha'eleh lemor. Anochi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeiticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mibeit avadim.
Lo yikelecha asher acherim apanai. Lo taselecha besel vechol temuna asher bashamayim mimal vasher ba'aretz mitachat vasher bashamayim mitachat lasher latishtaha lachem hatem ki anohi Adonai Elohecha Elchana hey Ehola hey lo Albanim Ashileshim ve'aribeim lesonai say what I said lehalafim lo halim halavot hifote.
Lo tisa et Shem Adonai Elohecha lashav ki lo einake Adonai et asher yisa et Shemo lashav.
Zachor et Yom HaShabbat lekadsho, sheshet yamim tavod, v'asita kol melachtecha, vayom hashvi'i Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha, lo te'aseh kol melacha ata uvincha uvitecha, avtecha v'amarcha uvhemtecha, v'gercha asher bisherecha, ki sheshe yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, et hayam ve'et kol asher bam, vayanach bayom hashvi'i, al kein be'erach Adonai et Yom HaShabbat v'yakadshehu.
Kabed et avicha v'itamecha, vichman yarihun yamecha, al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten lach, lo tirtzach, lo tin'af, lo tignov, lo ta'aneh v'reacha ejaker, lo tachmod beitecha, lo tachmod eshet reyecha, ve'avdo va'amoto, ve'shoro v'chamoro, ve'chol asher l'reyecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet,
B'chayei olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
You may be seated. Yasher Koach on a beautiful chanting of these verses of Torah. In the presence of our Torah, we take this opportunity in our service to offer a mishaberach, a prayer for healing, a healing of mind, body, or spirit. On the screen are names of members of our community and extended community in need of healing at this time. And as I pass my hand through the congregation, I invite you to share names with us who are in need of healing, healing of mind, body, or spirit. We hold these names as well as the names we're holding in our hearts and those on the screen. And we now turn to the words of Mishaberach on page 253. We invite you to join us.
Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We pray for a complete and full recovery in whatever way possible, and together as one community we say, Amen. I now invite you to rise one more time as you are able in body or spirit as we lift and tie the Torah and dress it. Our confirmands will be lifting and dressing the Torah.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה.
You may be seated. We are on page 254 for the blessings before the Haftarah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet
HaTorah, Moshe Avdo, Yisrael Amo, Nevi'ei Ha'emet, B'Tzedek.
In the days when the chieftains ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah, with his wife and 2 sons, went to reside in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech, his wife's name was Naomi, and his 2 sons were named Machlon and Kilion, Ephrates of Bethlehem in Judah. They came to the country of Moab and remained there.
Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth, and they lived there about 10 years. Then those 2, Machlon and Kilion, also died, so the woman was left without her 2 sons and without her husband. Accompanied by her 2 daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living, and they set out on the road back to the land of Judah.
But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Turn back each of you to her mother's house. May Adonai deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. Turn back, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Have I any more sons in my body who might be husbands for you? Turn back, my daughters, for I am too old to be married."
But Ruth replied, "Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus and more may Adonai do to me, if anything but death parts me from you."
Baruch
Atah
Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, tzor kol ha'olim, tzadik bechol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer ve'oseh, ha'medaber u'mkayem, shechol devarav emet b'tzedek, al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazel, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך, ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך, בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מקדש השבת.
We return the Torah to the ark. Shalom, 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 shalom. Eitz Chaim. Eitz Chaim hi למחזיקים בה וצומחה, מאושר עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה וצומחה, מאושר. שלום, 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 שלום. Shalom, shalom, shalom. You may be seated.
It is rare that I am at a loss for words. One of the beautiful things about being here for so long and knowing all of you, as one of you said, forever, is that I've watched you become the people you had the potential to be. Kindergarten, first, second, third grade, you were kind, you were curious, you were inquisitive. But today you stood here. You stood here and showed us the essence of who you are. Talmud tells us that the highest compliment you can pay a person is that their insides match their outsides. And for each of you who pushes back at our traditional texts, who asks questions about what it means to be Jewish, who molds, melds, and shapes the rituals to fit your modern lives. You are truly doing this with a love of Judaism and with a love of our traditions. And it is such an honor for all of us to stand on this bima, for all of us to be in the sanctuary and see you continuing on your journey to Jewish adulthood. So from the entire congregation, we present you with their certificate, because it's not official unless it's on a certificate, and with a gift that we hope will allow you to continue to change the world for the better. So Mazal Tov from all of us. I'm getting little hugs really fast.
Just the beginning.
And as each of you spoke so eloquently, you didn't get to this space alone. So I'd like to invite all of the parents of our confirmands to rise and to join Rabbi Blum and I in the parents' prayer. We'll help you along. It's on the daf, on the sheet. So parents, ready? 1, 2, 3. Dear God, teach me to embody those ideals I would want my children to learn from me. Let me communicate with my children wisely in ways that will draw their hearts to kindness, to decency, and to true wisdom. Dear God, let me pass on to my children only the good. Let them find in me the values and the behavior I hope to see in them. Eternal God, we thank you for the blessing of this moment. May all of our children enjoy health, contentment, love, and peace all the days of their lives. And Amen. Thank you so much, parents. And because we as Jews are a people in whom history is always present, I ask those grandparents to rise. Those grandparents who came here to see your grandchild stand on their bima and continue their place in the chain of Jewish tradition. And grandparents, if you'll join with us. God of all generations,
we're especially grateful for this joyous occasion as we witness the confirmation of the next generation of our family, as it is taught, the crown of elders is the grandchildren.
People. May they continue to grow
in goodness. May their lives be enriched and be blessings
to their family.
And together as a congregation we say,
Amen.
And Mazal Tov to our parents and our grandparents.
And now the confirmands have a blessing that they want to offer up.
With loyalty and
commitment, we stand before you, Adonai our God, as we confirm our faith and love of Judaism. At this sacred moment, we affirm that we will always pursue the paths of knowledge and wisdom, and strive to seek words of compassion and understanding. Grant, O God, unto our generation days and years of harmony and peace among all people, that we will have an opportunity to turn our dreams into reality. May we always be true to ourselves and faithful to humanity. And may we grow in maturity and strength, that we may be a light unto the nations. Eternal God, on this night of confirmation, we offer you our thanks and praise.
And together we say, Amen. Dear confirmands, you have been through challenges in your life. We've talked about that global pandemic that got in the way. Here at Congregation B'Chaim, you have seen how our clergy team has shifted over the last few years. And we were a confirmation class of 5, and then there were 4. But I hope what you have learned over these months and years together is that you can do hard things. And that is an incredibly powerful act. It is no accident that we read the book of Ruth on the festival of Shavuot that celebrates our receiving Torah from God. Ruth made a really important, powerful choice. She chose to stay connected to the family that she had found, and she chose to stay connected to that community. So too have you made that not so obvious choice. And I mentioned at the beginning of our service that Shavuot is the festival of the first fruits, the Bikurim, and I want to name some of the incredible fruits that you four have shared with us. A loving heart and creative spirit, musical acumen, and an analytical mind. Fearlessness in speaking up and speaking out. Kindness and compassion. You all embody that Yiddish word mensch, what it means to be a good person. And you have truly given us a gift this Shabbat, this Shavuot, on behalf of all of Congregation B'chaim. Thank you. Today, you assert your identity as Jewish adults, and you have shared this very meaningful milestone moment with your families and all of us. And we have a blessing for that. On the back, bottom of your handout, that blessing that thanks God that we lived to see this special time, this special occasion, this festival season, this moment in your lives. And we sing together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Turn to our prayer books, page 282. 282 on the bottom, as I invite all who are able to please rise. All right, to the
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekiru l'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishbechot hadama, shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ ומושב עיקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו ככתוב בתורתו וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל ועל הארץ מתחת נאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא
We turn now to page 291 as we prepare for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. You may be seated.
It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind.
But memory can tell us only what we were, in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become.
We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each one of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one.
In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone and every life finds purpose.
In the past week plus, our community has known a lot of loss. I will share the names of those who we are in the period of Shiva, the first week of mourning. As I share the name of your loved one, I invite you to rise. We remember David Shapiro, husband of Carrie Shapiro. We remember Irv Schraub, the husband of Bobby Schraub, and father and grandfather of many here tonight. In the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, we remember Maxine Schoenwald, aunt of Jeff Miller, Marilyn Kravitz, mother of Stephen Kravitz, Thomas Smith, the husband of Gail Henkin. This week, we also observe the following yortzites. We remember Simon Babbitts, Ruth Basin, Robert Bates, Donald Becker, Bruce Berwick, Jacob Branislav, David Garwood, Beverly Glazer, Phyllis Gold, Eva Green, Karen Hicks, Rita Kantrowitz, Melvin Kessler, Rose Craham, Francine Lichtman, Ray Lindenbaum, Maddie Lippitz, Raymond Lubin, Anthony Macia, Beverly Medoff, Ewald Eddie Mittendorf, William Okrent, Thelma Pasteora, Rhoda Salas, Joseph Sheps, Bobby Schwartz, Rita Sokoloff, Dorothy Stanley, Anne Trott, Harry Trush, Dorothy Weinstein. We also now invite our confirmands to share with us loved ones who they are remembering at this moment.
My grandpa, Herb and Elaine Blatt, my grandparents, Herb and Elaine Blatt, and Hank and Janice Dunn.
Miriam and Harold Dean, Rebecca Rosnick Gordon, Sarah and Samuel Feldman, Trudy and Raphael Eunice.
Esther and Martin Glass, Henrietta and Leon Bach, Erna and Leon Horowitz, Jean and Morris Kurtzberg, Sherry and Richard Glass.
Nina and Michael Blavis.
We now turn to page 294 and invite the congregation to rise as one in body or spirit for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yitzgadal v'yitzgadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma dibra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei t'chol beit Yisrael, v'hagala u'bizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah v'rach le'olam u'lamei amayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzalal shemei t'kudusha b'richu. Le'ila min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Ta'amiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, we pray that their memory be a blessing in our lives. You may be seated.
We now have a few announcements from Todd Wachtel, and we have several board members who will be passing something out. All you need to do is hold on to it for the time being. Don't unwrap it, don't do anything else with it. Your cue, folks, is Mazel Tov. Until you hear that, just hang tight. And I'm going to move this so that it doesn't light on fire.
And our friends in the balcony might want to come down so they can get one of these too.
Shabbat Shalom. Good evening. My name is Todd Wachtel. I'm a member of the board and the Men's Club president.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
I just want to tag on to something that Ann said, because I've known this confirmation class since they were little also. And they were cute, and they were inquisitive, and they were funny, but they were also short. I don't know what you've been feeding these people, but do you have any left? I just wanted to thank you for asking me to speak tonight. It's an incredible honor for me, considering that I drove 25% of the class to Hebrew school, at least one way. As a board member, you're given the opportunity to, at the end of B'nai Mitzvah, to give out the candlesticks and books and pictures. And I've given away a lot of candlesticks and books and pictures. And when you're doing that speech, you get to say to the child, on behalf of the board, we look forward to seeing you back on this bima for confirmation. And if you ever want to see a look of horror from a 13-year-old who has just gone through the longest day of their life, that's the time. You get daggers back at you. So we've made it. You're back on the bima, or actually, in your case, for the first time. And in all of your speeches, you talked about a Jewish journey. You all mentioned it. And it got me thinking, what does it mean to be on a journey? There's ups and there's downs, there's twists, there's turns, and there's lows and there's highs. And you guys have seen the lowest lows and the highest of highs. And whether or not you continue your Jewish journey publicly or privately, on behalf of the board, I congratulate you and wish you Mazel Tov, but I really look forward to seeing what you guys are going to do next. Mazel Tov. Okay. The closing announcements?
Did you need those?
No, I
have
haven't.
them right here. Oh, you have them? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Not yet.
From Rabbi, I'm sorry. Specific person who says the trigger word.
I got to go back on the script. I got a script now. No, they gave me a script. I got to. No. Oh, I wish. That's cool. All right, it has been wonderful to be together tonight for our confirmation Shabbat service. Mazel Tov again to all the confirmants and their families.
No.
We hope to spiritually connect, learn, and celebrate with your Beth Chaim community was meaningful to you. After our closing benediction, please follow the confirmands, clergy, and myself to the rear of the sanctuary for Kiddush and Motzi. Torah study with bagels is tomorrow morning at 8:45 in the chapel and on Zoom. Bring your own bagel. We have two important interfaith events coming up. Join Rabbi Blum this Sunday at 5 p.m. for an interfaith peace vigil at the Foxmore Community Room in Robbinsville. Then on Monday, join our clergy and the Windsor Heightstown Area Ministerium at 7 p.m. for an interfaith Juneteenth service at St. James AME Church in Heightstown. Then we hope to see you again next Friday for our Juneteenth Rock Shabbat service. If you'd like to participate in the potluck dinner beforehand, check your email to sign up. We look forward to celebrating with our neighbors from Live Well Church, including a sermon from Reverend Cahill Carmichael and music featuring his sons Zion and Zachary. We will also be celebrating June birthdays and anniversaries in our community, so it should be a beautiful evening. We have many events on our calendar. Keep checking your Beth Chaim emails and website for information on all of these programs and more. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. We continue on.
No, we have a closing song.
We're just too excited now.
Page 322. An oldie but goodie as requested by our confirmands. 322.
Ein Eloheinu, Ein Kadoneinu, Ein Kilmalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, Mi Eloheinu, Mi Kadoneinu, Mi Kilmalkeinu, Mi Kemoshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu,
Confirmands, as you stay put, but the rest of us slowly walk away, I'm pretty confident your family and friends are incredibly proud of you. On behalf of Congregation B'chaim, we are so proud of you. But most importantly of all, we hope that you are proud of you, of all you've accomplished until today, and have so much more to come. May you only go from strength to strength. Mazel tov!
Simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simin tov, Elanu, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael.
Shabbat shalom! Folks are welcome to come and grab goodies now. We're not throwing anymore, we're just collecting. And we're going to meet you in the back for Kiddush and Motzi.